What is good, my fellow degenerate weebs? Tis I, your favorite YouTuber who makes god-awful abhorrent content for thine amusement. No need to thank me really. I make these incredibly triggering videos to both fandoms with nothing but true love in my heart. Today's video is dedicated to all of my viewers who keep spamming they wanted to see Saiki K take on the Dragon Ball universe. Oh yeah, and that one guy who really wants to see Kurokami vs Dragon Ball. I swear I will do that video someday, but I accidentally watched the first season of High School DxD because I thought she looked like a certain hot demon. I then proceeded to watch the entirety of High School DxD because I am one hell of a weak man and have zero self-control. But anyway, today's video is all about everyone's favorite expressionless boy, Saiki Kusuo. Now, Saiki is really just one hell of a good guy. He is the most overpowered guy in this anime's universe, but he still just finds time to help around the house and does not abuse his powers for things like cheating on tests. I'm gonna be real honest here, but if I could read minds or control other people, I would be abusing the ever-living shit out of those powers to not have to work another day in my life. Saiki really is the better man out of the two of us. Speaking of powers, Saiki has a lot of them, so without wasting any more time, let's just take a look at what we are dealing with here. Like I stated before, like seriously like 10 seconds ago, I don't know why I said like I stated before, but whatever. Saiki K has a plethora of busted powers which you can use, abuse and exploit to fight in the Dragon Ball universe. I do feel it necessary to mention that Saiki does not usually like to abuse his powers, so in all reality he would probably lay low and avoid any fighting, but for the sake of today's video we will have him use all his powers and just go all out. Starting off, Saiki has the power to apport things. For those who don't know what this means, think of Thor drawing his hammer towards himself from far away and it just comes flying over, but instead of it literally flying over, it just teleports to wherever Saiki is. This ability does have one rule it must follow: the apported item has to be swapped with something of exactly equal value, think Fullmetal Alchemist. For example, if he apports a pen, he would swap its place with a pencil. You can't just draw a nuke towards him without sending something of exactly the same value to replace that nuke, like your mom's ass. Next up on the list we have his ability to astral project. To anyone who has seen Insidious, the concept of astral projection is pretty clear. For those of you who have not seen said movie, astral projection is where you leave your, where your spirit leaves your body and you can travel in spirit form. And in Saiki's case, while he is in spirit form, he can also possess another person by swapping their spirits with his own. Saiki is capable of a power known as bilocation, which is essentially the multiform technique from Dragon Ball, but better. Saiki duplicates himself and his clones have all of the powers he has, so they don't get the same cut in their power like the multiform clones from Dragon Ball do. The only real drawback this power has is that any damage Saiki receives is also directly mirrored and reflected onto his clones. So if Saiki gets a cut on his face, so do all of the clones. One of Saiki K's strongest abilities, at least in my opinion, is his ability to just control minds. He can literally make everyone on the planet do and believe whatever they want them to believe, do whatever he wants them to do. He can even literally just change human biology itself. Another one of his more, I suppose, basic powers, which is weird to call this a basic power, but he can control the elements. He is basically the Avatar, but with hair. He can use fire, ice, and a truckload of other shit to just beat his opponent's ass to the moon and back. Now, I am going to cut myself a little bit of slack here by showing the rest of his abilities with this time-lapse of his wiki page. I know this seems lazy as hell, it kinda is, not gonna lie, I'm not gonna pretend it isn't, but Saiki literally has more than 50 unique abilities, and if I'm going to explain every single one in detail, we will be here until the heat death of the universe. So I will have his wiki page slowly scroll across the screen for like a minute, giving you plenty of time to pause the video and read some of his abilities you find interesting. The link to this wiki page will also be in the description of this video, so you guys can just read it for yourself and formulate your own opinion on how far Saiki would get using the powers you've just seen. Now that we have had the time to actually look at all of Saiki K's busted abilities, we can have a go at matching him up against the Dragon Ball universe. Now, obviously, Saiki K does not stand a chance against every Dragon Ball character ever with a power level of over 5 in a straight up fist fight. I'm dead serious, the farmer with a shotgun could kick his ass in a one-on-one fist fight, but luckily for Saiki, he does not need to use his fists at all, he has his psychic abilities for that. And with those at his disposal, I believe he will make it very, very far. Just taking a look at his ability to control minds, he would get to the Cell Saga with just that in my opinion. Now, this is a pretty big jump to just go from nothing to the Cell Saga, I get that, but hear me out on this one. Babidi was able to use mind control on guys that were pretty much as strong as Cell was. Just look at Dabura. Dabura was stated to be on par with Cell's power, and Babidi was able to use mind control to completely subdue and get Dabura under his control. The first person who was able to shake off the mind control of the evil wizard was Vegeta. So by that logic, I will assume that Saiki K's mind control would at the very least work on everyone with less power than Vegeta had during the Buu saga. And don't worry, I understand this is not rock solid proof, though, since Babidi uses magic and Saiki uses psychic abilities, so I'm sure there will be some differences between the two similar powers, but I am pretty convinced that guys with strong enough mental strength or those with magic abilities would be able to avoid Saiki K's mind control just like they would be able to avoid Babidi's mind control. Some of the guys I just do not believe mind control would work on are Babidi thanks to his magic, Vegeta thanks to his mental fortitude, Piccolo thanks to his mental fortitude as well, the guy is pretty just mentally strong, Buu thanks to his magic and the god's angels. There are surely just others that would be immune to mental attacks, but these ones just came to mind right now, and I do know that in the, I believe it's the World's Strongest movie and the Dead Zone filler arc, Piccolo does get mind controlled, but since both of them are filler arcs, I'm not really going to take those into account because otherwise in just this regular character he isn't shown to be really like affected by mind control powers or manipulation. He's just a very straightforward guy, so I don't think Piccolo would be affected as much by the mind control as other characters like, for example, Goku would be. So I currently have Saiki K at the Cell Saga, but there is a bit of a problem. If Saiki gets hit just even once, he is dead. He might have incredible busted powers, but he is just a regular human. Sure, he can change his shape, but that shit takes him like 2 hours to complete, so that's not really a viable out to this. If you just count his abilities, he could beat every single foe in the entirety of Dragon Ball, no questions. He could petrify them, mind control them, swap souls with a guy like Jiren and use his incredible powers to just beat everyone up, etc. He pretty much has an answer for everything Dragon Ball can throw at him, with a few exceptions. So instead of talking about who Saiki could beat, I want to use the remainder of today's video to actually look at the guys that can potentially beat Saiki K instead and give him a ranking I find to be fair. So first off, we have Monster Carrot. This rabbit guy can turn anyone he touches into a carrot, completely removing any ability his foe might have. The catch obviously being that he would have to touch Saiki, but if he does manage to do that, he pretty much wins by default. But I don't like using Monster Carrot because using him in this way, he would pretty much win against anybody I throw at him. So I usually just count this guy as an honorable mention, but don't really weigh in the effect that him winning has on the character's ranking. So do keep that in mind. Secondly, we have Babidi, and I suppose technically Bibidi as well, but Bibidi is pretty much dead already, so I'm going with Babidi. But if Saiki has even the smallest bit of darkness inside of his heart, Babidi would theoretically be able to control him. This one I'm not entirely sure about, but I can't deny the possibility of this happening like 100%. Third off, we have Dabura. Dabura can petrify anybody who comes into contact with his spit. Whilst petrified, Dabura's opponents have their powers, movement and consciousness just sealed away, and they are nothing more than stone statues. Cell and Buu are both capable of absorbing their opponents. Buu can steal the enemy's knowledge and moves by absorbing them, and Cell can just suck you off dry. I meant to say suck you dry. Both of them would presumably beat Saiki this way, but that, you know, again, there's arguments to be made, like Saiki could petrify Cell before he can absorb him, Saiki could swap bodies with Cell or Buu. Like, there's really no cut and dry way of saying who beats who here. I'm just mentioning the possibility that these two could technically outsmart Saiki this way. Fifth up, we have the Destroy Gods who can use Hakai Energy. Hakai Energy just erases everything it comes into contact with, so I can see this nullifying any power Saiki K throws at at it as well. And if Saiki gets hit with it himself, he would obviously be a goner as well. 6th up, we have the angels like Whis, Vados, and the Grand Priest. These guys are pretty much just omnipotent, and I am pretty sure that Saiki's abilities would just not really do anything against them. We haven't seen anything really happen to angels before. I mean, if you're counting the manga, so by the way, spoiler warning if you haven't read the Dragon Ball Super manga up to date, there is an angel character called Mirrors, and the only reason he actually, like, quote unquote dies or loses is because he violates the law of the angels and like meddles in mortal affairs. That makes him lose his angel powers, and he just gets like washed away, re-educated, however the hell you want to call it. So that could happen on any angel, I suppose, but if the angels just vibe like they normally do, Saiki wouldn't be able to do anything against them. At least I don't believe he would be able to. And finally, we have the Omni Kings who can just erase Saiki from existence like that. It's really not a debate. I don't think there's a single character that's written to be stronger than Zeno in pretty much any series, so he just literally snaps his fingers and kills you. It's really that simple. I don't think Saiki could do anything against him. But placing Saiki K on my tier list proved to be incredibly difficult because he is a really weird fit into an anime like Dragon Ball. On one end, he would get one-shot by the farmer with a shotgun if he had no powers, whilst he could pretty much beat anybody else in the Dragon Ball universe with his powers available to him. I have ultimately decided to place Saiki K just past the Buu Saga because this is where most of the enemies who could possibly defeat him are, but being completely honest, I would not disagree with putting Saiki like way lower or way higher on the list, because depending on how much you value his powers, he could just fluctuate massively on this list. There's going to be people who downplay his powers to hell, and there's going to be people who just over-exaggerate his powers, making him like multi-universal level, which I don't believe him to be. But in the end, this video is just meant to be a fun place for discussing how far Saiki would get in Dragon Ball. Do you agree with my placement, or do you think I am a total moron and got it completely wrong? Let me know in the comments down below, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more similar content in the future, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss another video ever again. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.